You are now entering Film Code.
I see, mate. You're fond of me lobster.
Molly, you in danger, girl.
Your ass looks like about 150 pounds of chewed bubble gum, Kyle. You know that? Say it, sir! I don't believe you people.
Huh. What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
Huh? Now answer my question. Were you rushing or were you dragging? Answer!
I loved it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Film Code. My name is Phoenix Clouden, and I'm joined by, currently in second place, Brandon. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm good, Phoenix. It is good to be back. It's good to be talking another MCU film. Yeah, it's definitely I guess you can say a mixed bag as far as reviews on this one. So I'm excited to talk about it. How are you doing, Phoenix?
Excellent. And of course, this week we are joined by returning guest. So happy to have him back, Jeremy Bryant. Jeremy from, of course, I'm gonna get that right one day. Paranormal, the New Normal podcast, and of course, Bracket Bastards podcast. Jeremy, welcome back, man. So happy to have you.
Happy to be back. I am actually no longer officially a part of Bracket Bastards. It's a little falling out there, but it's all good.
Oh, no.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, some people just, when you're too outrageous, some people don't like dealing with you.
Oh, that sucks. It was a good show, though. Great run.
He helped start something and then, thrown off.
It happens. Can't wait to see what else you do in the future, because I'm sure it's going to be awesome. But, yeah, super happy to have you back on. And we are talking the 31st, I believe it is, film in the MCU, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. This is the third Ant-Man film. We got Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lily, Michael Douglas, and Michelle Pfeiffer returning. We got Kathryn Newton as an aged-up Cassie back. We do not have T.I. or Louise. We do have David. Yeah, Michael Pena. We do have David Dastmalchian, but he's in a voice role, I guess.
I'm so upset that they didn't bring back Michael Pena and his crew, because literally David is on that crew.
Yeah, which I thought was weird. I was like, why is he the one we bring back, but not Michael Pena?
You could have given him a voice line in the movie.
Anything, but whatever. It's cool. So this story is a little different from the previous Ant-Man movies. Ant-Man and his family, they get trapped in the quantum realm, where they discover Kang has completely conquered the quantum realm, and they have to figure out a way to free the people that are in the quantum realm and also keep Kang from getting out, as he will destroy everything. Pretty high stakes for an Ant-Man movie. But overall, I want to get a general sense of what you guys felt going into this movie, and then your first impressions coming out. So, Brandon, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, man. Okay, so, going into it, I was not as excited as I normally am for an MCU film. I think it's just between seeing, the Rotten Tomatoes reviews and just how they've marketed this movie. I feel like the Super Bowl trailer, I think it was the Super Bowl trailer, whatever their second trailer was. I just feel it gave away way too much for their film. So I'm like, okay, I'm a little skeptical about this. Let's see how this is. And I'm glad that I don't let reviews change my opinion on films like some people do. I like to go into it. Even if I'm not as hyped to go in and watch a movie, I still give it a fair chance, because I'm like, let's see how this does. And I was pleasantly surprised. It's not the best thing ever by any means, but it wasn't bad.
Okay. Jeremy, what about you?
Going into it, I watched the first Ant-Man and second Ant-Man at home. I didn't see them in theaters because I just didn't have the time, and it was Ant-Man, so I wasn't like pushing to go to a midnight show or anything like I would with Avengers. But I just rewatched the first one and the first half of the second one yesterday at home with my wife to catch her up so we can go see it together while the kids were in school. And I mean, I gotta say, I give more props to the first and second one than I originally did, because they are just great heist movies, and they are. Paul Rudd's amazing. I mean, Paul Rudd's always amazing, and just they're good movies. But going to this one, I was a little bit like, all right, I know they're doing Kang because Loki set them up to do Kang, and I'm like, if they're gonna do Kang the Conqueror, they better do him right, because it's Kang the Conqueror, one of Marvel's biggest villains ever. I mean, he was the main bad guy in Lego Marvel 3. Like, he was the main bad guy. Like, he's one of the biggest, he's one of the first Avenger villains in comic books. Like, they better do him justice. And honest to God, was not disappointed with how they did Kang.
Not at all.
I mean, you want to talk disappointment? Let's go talk about MODOK for a minute. But
yeah, we'll get into that when we dive into spoilers. Oh my God, I'm gonna get started on that guy.
We will. But I mean, overall, I was, as I posted on Twitter and Facebook yesterday, this movie was basically Marvel meets Star Wars, and I was amazed by it. It's Marvel meets Star Wars. The whole Spark of Rebellion idea was the idea for this movie, and different. It was almost like an alien world, like being on an alien planet, being down the quantum zone, which is fucking awesome. Like, so many different creatures. I want a Marvel show about the creatures of the quantum realm and their stories.
Yes.
Give me a Tales from Jabba's Palace or Tales of the Bounty Hunters type story of the quantum realm.
Wow. Yeah, you know what? I didn't even think about that, but like, yeah, like you just opened up a whole new world, and I'm like, yo, I kind of want to know more. Like, I'm like,
I want to know about the guy who wonders about holes.
The goo guy.
Yeah, he was great.
You want some more of my goo?
So like, it's interesting because I'm like, you know, we had the mixed reviews. We're coming off of a few, I would say, not so stellar, at least not Marvel standard type of films and projects.
Fuck Blue Namor.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, Wakanda Forever, to me, easily one of the top 3 things of Phase 4. But that's also a very low bar. like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yeah. But, you know, She-Hulk was awful. Moon Knight ended up being disappointing. Absolutely hated Hawkeye.
Miss Marvel was good.
Miss Marvel was great.
How do you hate Hawkeye 1? Hawkeye was like an amazing Christmas iHeart type movie.
If you take a look at what they did, take a look at what they did to good old Kingpin.
Oh
my God, I was so disappointed with what they did to Kingpin.
Like, Kingpin was awful. What they did with the villain, who, like, her mom, that was weak. Echo was terrible. I'm like, nothing about that show. Nothing. Like, past, I think, episode 2, it just lost all interest for me.
And then Tony Dalton. Like, I hate to go off on a tangent, but Tony Dalton, the guy who literally plays Lalo Salamanca in Better Call Saul, you give him you give him a joke role like Uncle Jack in this. Get out of here.
I mean, but I don't know. I loved Hawkeye. I thought it was and I mean, the Avengers musical. I want them to do a full Avengers musical.
We're all still on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Fully do that. That would be great. But like, that's about the only thing that.
And you know what's funny?
Loved.
If you play that new game, Marvel Midnight Suns. Captain America says constantly in that game when he's fighting people, I can do this all day.
So like, yeah, like, so we had a few, I would say, underwhelming projects coming, you know, just off the heels of that. You got underwhelming projects, you got mixed reviews. I'm going into Quantumania kind of like we'll see, you know what I'm saying? I think, you know, outside of Wakanda Forever, what came before? Was it Love and Thunder before Wakanda Forever?
Love and Thunder, yeah.
I know. No,
I kind of liked Love and Thunder to some degree.
No,
that was terrible.
No. It was
to me,
awful.
if you read the original Thor comics, they went straight from the
care. I don't care.
And the end credit scene. The end credit scene.
No, didn't save it.
Yes, it did.
Whole movie was trash.
The fact they're saying of Hercules, like,
whole movie was trash. Throw it in the trash. Like, if it weren't for Thor: The Dark World, that would literally be the worst thing that the MCU has ever done. Yeah. like, so again, like I said, very low expectations going in. Not even very low, but like just not super hype, right? Like, I walked into Wakanda Forever expecting the best thing ever. So, like, I would say that my expectation was not nearly there. But I was like, let's see what it gives.
But to kick off phase 5.
Yeah, right. I am really blown away by the response that this movie has gotten. Like, truly blown away. This is outside, like I posted in our group chat yesterday, outside of Eternals, No Way Home, and probably Shang-Chi, this is better than everything we got in phase 4. like genuinely better than everything else that we got in phase 4. And I'm like, it's not a big
competition either.
Right. I'm like, the idea that this is now the second lowest rated MCU movie, I'm like, something isn't right. Something isn't clicking here. Like, I'm like, I literally spent the entirety of the movie going, okay, when am I gonna see the stuff that's making everybody go, this is terrible? Like, I was like genuinely, I was like, okay, eventually I'm gonna see what everybody's complaining about. Like, I'm gonna see what they're not vibing with, and like, it genuinely never came. I was like, it genuinely never came. Kang was freaking awesome. Like, awesome. Like, talk about a character done well. Yeah, it's very different from the first 2 movies, but newsflash, those first 2 movies,
it need to be different. If they did just another heist on Earth movie, like, type thing, with some wannabe villain that they screw up horribly, like Ghost, then
exactly, like then you're just gonna have like a poor reception for a film. I like the change of pace. I really like how, like, the villain just didn't just die in this one, and in a way,
right.
And I really like how we have Kang for the next like 2 phases,
and as the villain. Be glorious.
Until Galactus comes, but
yeah.
I wonder how long it's going to be till we get Galactus. I think Eternals is going to be the big.
Yeah, it should be a while.
It's going to be Fantastic Four has to come first.
Yeah,
right, exactly. So yeah, for me, like, coming out of it, I'm just like, I was like standing outside of my movie theater, like, puzzled. I was just like, what movie did everyone else see? Like, I'm just like so confused, because I'm like, this makes no sense. Like there's one complaint, just one complaint that I think has some merit to it. But even then, I'm like, is that enough that it takes away from the story that we got, the action that we got, the character development that we got? No. So I'm like, yeah, I'm floored by this. Like, genuinely, outside of maybe 3 films, like I said, this was better than everything I saw in phase 4. Like, this to me was Marvel's comeback. Like, from how disappointing phase 4 was.
You have to also realize, though, they're setting up Young Avengers, and this movie did a great job of doing that, as well as She-Hulk did.
Yeah.
But because it brought Scar in.
Scar, yeah.
And I mean, that's one of my favorite Scars are my favorite characters.
They brought in Scar no matter how bad his CGI was.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad as Ugly Sonic. So come on now.
but they fixed Ugly Sonic
because people don't care enough about Scar to freaking go and start a riot.
But so yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and break the seal. And officially talk spoilers for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
If you haven't watched it, please go watch it. I personally think it's fantastic. Hopefully, it does some numbers at the box office. But Brandon, why don't you start us off with your spoiler thoughts on Ant-Man and the Wasp?
I'd like to get the negative out of the way. Like one of the only few negatives I have about this movie. MODOK, man. They did not do him well. Like, listen, I'm completely fine with him being like as Darren, but like I'd much rather prefer like human Darren over how he wasn't as MODOK. Like,
I mean, the fact that MODOK is not originally from the they never did stories where he was in the quantum zone at all. Like MODOK, they should have done MODOK in the Hawkeye show, for God's sake. Like that would have made more sense. Like, or even in the She-Hulk show, they should have like done something with him. But like MODOK is just they did a better version of him on the cartoon with Patton Oswalt voicing him.
That's awful.
It's just really disappointing because like they turned him into a damn joke.
Well, he is a joke, but
I was gonna say like MODOK is he's kind of like a throwaway character in a way. Like, yeah.
Why was everybody freaking out about him?
But I did like that they actually brought up the good point that he should be called MODOK.
Yeah, MODOK.
Yeah, that was great. Like, actually, and it's funny though. I had no problems with MODOK. Like, none whatsoever.
Really?
Like, none, really. I loved that we got that throwback that he's a character from the first Ant-Man. It actually kind of makes sense for the MCU's version of MODOK. That kind of totally makes sense. So I really dug that. I noticed like the face is probably the one thing that I'm like,
yeah, they could CGI that so much fucking better.
They could have done that
like
a little
Humpty
bit better.
Dumpty.
Yeah, they could have did that a little bit better. But at the same time, I was like, I don't know. The fact that it's kind of bad, kind of ugly, kind of works. So
it does. I mean, other than the origin story of MODOK, like I kind of I like that they kept the guy from the first movie. That kind of made like I like it when they do that. Like that's fan service. That's all it is. But
it made timeline sense too. That's why I kind of dug it.
Yeah, I mean it did, but it just I don't know. I mean, and the fact that they killed him off so fast, like it just like that leads me to think there's gonna be another MODOK at some point from another universe or something that's gonna pop over, which might be the right one.
I hope so. Like we keep talking about just like how poorly certain characters are handled, and then you forget like the multiversal war is coming.
Right.
Like something I'm really looking forward to is like how Secret Wars in the Kang Dynasty, well, not in that order, but I'm very interested to see how those two are gonna like shape up. But like a quick positive I have is like not even related to the movie. I loved how I was able to so Phoenix knows this. I showed my grandfather the entire MCU over the span of a couple of years, and so he hasn't seen a lot of Phase 4, which I just need to catch him up on. But like he's familiar with Ant-Man's story. He's seen all the rest, just except for a few projects in Phase 4. So I'm like, cool, let me go ahead and take him to his first opening night MCU film. Like, I know he could give two craps about it being opening night, but I mean, he had a great time. He really enjoyed it.
That's interesting because like after I left, I caught an Uber home, and I had a very chatty Uber driver, which is not my favorite, but whatever. But we were talking about movies. And he brought up that he wanted to take his son to see Ant-Man and the Wasp. And his son was 6. And I was like, I don't know. I'm like to me, I'm like that if I have any complaint, any other complaint about this movie is it definitely feels like if you're not hardcore following the MCU, you might be lost. Like
I don't think so.
Lost. Okay.
I mean, it's kind of a standalone movie in its own way too, though, because
it very much is.
I mean, because my wife is not a Marvel fan, an MCU fan at all. She only knows about it MCU because of X and because of me.
Right.
And I mean, she thought the Ant-Man movies were better than any other Marvel movie she's seen.
Wow.
Like I mean, then again, like she never actually sat through Infinity War and Endgame, so I can't hold too much stock in that. But she only saw parts of it because she would be walking around the house when I was watching it and whatnot. But I mean, it's just, and she loved this movie. Like I asked her when I got done, like, so what do you think? She's like, it was really good. I'm like, she's like, that was a good movie. I'm like, I think I honestly can't wait to show my 8-year-old it because he's not into the MCU like that. Like he knows the characters and whatnot, like all kids do, but he doesn't know the storylines and everything. But
yeah,
he's gonna love it because of all the different creatures in the quantum realm.
That's true. Yeah,
it's like Star Wars. The kids will stick around for the creatures more than anything.
For the creatures. Like, and I love that people like bring up that point. Like, obviously, you know, Brandon knows I'm like, I've only seen the original trilogy when it comes to Star Wars. So
which you will eventually need to see.
Right.
Because like I'm dying over here not with the fact that we even even been able to review a single Star Wars movie on this podcast.
I'm so sorry. But yeah. So I've only seen the original trilogy. And like, but even in seeing the original trilogy, I get the Star Wars comparison with this movie because I'm like, you have this entire thing is kind of based, it's not even based in like magical fiction, it's based in science fiction, you know what I'm saying? And it's got these elements, like so much of this, all I could see was like Empire Strikes Back like throughout this entire movie. Like that's all I could see, all I could think of throughout this whole movie. I mean, Kang's army, like come on, like it's literally pulled from like Star Wars, like lining up the stormtroopers and all of that. Like that shot was completely reminiscent of Star Wars movies. But like I totally get the comparison, and I think it's a fair and apt comparison. And if you are, you know, if you've seen the entire, you know, Star Wars trilogy like Brandon has, like you have to appreciate the swing that Marvel went for in this.
If you've seen all 9 movies, I mean, yes, we don't talk about the sequels for many reasons, but if you've seen all 9 movies and if you've seen all the cartoons and everything that they've done and all the shows that Disney Plus has done, this lines up. I mean, as I said on Twitter yesterday, Kevin Feige is a fucking genius. Take my money, make mine Marvel. Fuck.
Yeah. So like I said, the Star Wars comparison, I totally get. Obviously, Feige's a big Star Wars guy. To me, like what was great about this film, which is something that I didn't feel at all throughout.
Sorry to interrupt, man, but I just thought of this.
What's that?
Bill Murray was basically pulling a Lando Calrissian in this movie.
He totally was.
I just saw that. He was told we fucking bring him to the dinner table with Darth Vader. Like he totally was.
Wow, I didn't even realize that. Yo, that is pure rip. Wow.
I mean, and the fact that we knew Bill Murray was in this movie for a long time, like it's been rumored for a long time that he was playing some kind of bad guy in this movie. Right. That's why when he came on, they're all buddy at first, and like she's hinting that she slept with him, like when she was stuck there for 30 years.
She's like, I had needs.
And that was one of the funniest scenes when they're in the ship, and she's like, I have need, and then like Michael Douglas is like, yeah, I had one girl because I have needs too, and the fact that their daughter's like, ew.
It's so gross. That was great. Oh man. I dug it. Like one other, like, oh sorry, hold on, let me make this other point before I go on to that one. But yeah, the thing that I felt during this movie that I didn't feel at all through much of Phase 4 was that this actually felt like a comprehensive, fully realized film before it was like oh, we got to tie into this or that or something like that. Whereas I felt like every other Phase 4 film felt like a puzzle piece. Like, oh, like here's the corner, and once we get like this next piece, like you'll see the full picture. But like this one felt like this is like the big chunk in the middle where you're like, oh, that's a fully realized story.
Yeah, it felt maybe really fleshed out.
Yeah, like, you know, obviously the rest will come later. Like, you know what I'm saying? We have the end credit scenes, which are amazing. Like, so like, yeah, obviously the connections will come, but this genuinely felt like here's this Ant-Man adventure story that obviously takes place off-world. And when it's done, you know what I'm saying?
Off world. Not technically off world.
Yeah, exactly. Off plane? I don't know. But like
off dimension. Yeah.
Off dimension, yeah. So like, but when we come back, like, yeah, obviously it's going to have implications that affect the wider MCU universe. But I love the fact that we just had this contained story that focused mainly on this character and didn't feel the need to, you know, be a half story of this. As soon as we get this story, then it'll come together. Like that, like to me, like that's what almost every Phase 4 film felt like, was just a piece of a piece.
But I mean, it's kind of like the first phase where instead of having Coulson going around, have you heard of the Avengers Initiative or Fury? But instead of having one of them go around and do that, it was Elaine Bennis going around building her team of Thunderbolts.
Exactly.
And that's why it needed to be a puzzle. And I love that they did that, and that Julia Louis-Dreyfus doing it, because that's just makes it all the better.
Good. She's so good. I don't remember. Okay.
But can we talk about Cassie Lang here for a second? What did you guys think about Kathryn Newton as Cassie?
I loved her casting.
I did. I didn't realize it was different from the person who played her in Endgame till like today, but like I didn't even realize it was a different actress at first. I thought it was the same actress from Endgame, but I like that they're bringing her forward to be her full Wasp potential she'll be someday.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't her isn't she like Hornet? Isn't that her name?
No, Wasp.
Oh, she's
also
we already have Wasp.
Does she just take the reins of Wasp?
Well, Janet Van Dyne died. Okay. One, to talk about this, even we got to talk about the fact that the whole MCU to begin with by not making Hank Pym be a founding member of the Avengers like they should have in the original movies.
Right, obviously, yeah. They
Janet Van Dyne
things around.
I mean, right. Hawkeye and Black Widow shouldn't even have been in Phase 1.
Right.
That just, I had to get that off my chest. That pissed me off for a long time now.
I mean, the MCU is different from the comics. Like, yeah, they're starting to be more comic accurate, but like, yeah, I think the setup. I mean, because I don't think really and truly they didn't think to do this whole culmination of films until like much later on.
Just to go back to it too, because I looked it up. In the comics, Cassie is called Stature, Stinger, Ant Girl, and Giant Girl. Those were her 4 names she used at different points.
Okay. I remember Stature. That was the thing. Okay.
I think they handled the quantum realm really well. I kind of wish they didn't work in front of like a green screen or a blue screen. I wish they did what they do with the ILM VFX that Lucasfilm has, the Industrial Light and Magic thing, because I think that would have worked great here, because they did that with Thor: Love and Thunder, and visually I think Thor: Love and Thunder looked great in that aspect. If they had done that with this one, I think it would have been like better effects, just visual effects wise. But the film itself, man, like I think the story had really good. I think it had a really good story. Like I know everybody's been saying this, but I'm just gonna reiterate it. Kang is here to stay, and I'm all here for it. I don't think he died in this. I really don't think, because even though they mentioned Kang dying in the end credit scene, I think they were referring to the one from Loki. That's just a theory, though.
Yeah,
but like, yeah.
I mean, but I feel like he didn't die. He just got trapped.
Yeah, my guess is what happened is at that time. Once that happened, he got. After that, Kang died, and the whole timeline reset itself. The whole TVA happened. Kang got pulled into the TVA, and that Kang is now in charge of the TVA.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh my god! Like, yo. So again, like I said earlier, like Loki was a great show. I really enjoyed Loki, but Loki felt like a piece of a puzzle, and we are just now getting another piece of that puzzle with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. And while I'm happy to finally have that piece, and it definitely filled in some holes and it definitely colored in some lines where I'm like, oh, okay, like, yeah, like it made that end credit scene so good. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean,
Like,
I just have to say, I have holes now.
That guy was so funny.
yo, in terms, and that's another thing. Like, is it as funny as the first two? Probably not. Right? Probably not.
You're missing the main comedian in it, Michael Pena.
Exactly. But it still has humor and great humor. Like the holes bit, I think is hysterical. The guy who can read minds and he's like, everyone is disgusting.
I did not expect to see him in this film. I am
William
blanking on his
Harper?
name. Yeah. Because I always think of him as Chidi from The Good Place. I did not expect to see him. I'm like,
oh, that was him. I didn't even think of that even.
I'm like, he's in the MCU because I always just saw him in The Good Place. When I watched Midsommar, I'm like, oh my god, it's him.
It is him. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
yeah, dude's really good. And like, there was some great comedy bits. Like I said, some people really did not like MODOK. I do not get it. I freaking loved MODOK. I thought he was hilarious. I thought there was some very funny aspects to this movie entirely with particularly with Cassie's character. I thought Cassie had some great moments. Obviously Paul Rudd had some great moments. I do love the fact that they strengthened the relationship between Scott and Hope.
Cassie or Hope.
Yeah, Scott and Hope. Like the fact that Hope is the one that comes back for him when he's fighting Kang, I was like, okay. Like, because I guess you could argue for like 2 movies and even like the bulk of this one, like, even though they are technically a couple, I've always just looked at them as partners. I've never really looked at them as a couple in love until that moment when she comes back and she saves them. And I was like, that's interesting, because I thought it would be Cassie, right? I thought Cassie would be the one to come back through the portal to save her dad. I was like, to me, that made more sense, especially with how the story was going. But the fact that it was Hope, I was like, oh, so now we are officially showing the real love that these two people have. Because if you watch the first movie, obviously they're adversarial towards each other. You know what I'm saying? And even at the end of that, you know what I'm saying, they're you know, friendly, but it never felt like they were together. The second one, you know, they're technically together, but they work like partners, you know what I'm saying, more than they do
but
a couple.
I mean, Michael Pena's whole truth serum rant about them becoming a couple in the second one was
right,
kind of laid it on the line there.
Right. So like, this one is the first one where I felt like, oh no, they're in love. Like, and that really came through. So I really liked how they strengthened that relationship, which is only going to make it so much worse when one of them dies.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's also the thing, is that they didn't even have Cassie's mom in this movie, which that added like a whole, like, all right, there's no chance of them getting back together ever then. So maybe they are building the hope. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, they missed a chance for a huge storyline with if they did a young Hank Pym and young whatever her name. Like they missed a whole chance to do like a whole alcoholism / domestic abuse storyline that could have spoke to so many people in this world. It would have been like one of the biggest things Marvel could have done.
I think it's definitely hinted at, but you could have fleshed that out a great deal. But yeah, overall, man, that's why I'm blown away, because I'm like, here we have a story that was a incredible adventure. Like, people who read the comics, right? You know that every story can't take place on Earth, right? Some stories take place on Earth. Some stories take place in another universe, in the multiverse, in space. And now we have a story in the quantum realm. And like, so to have a character have an adventure, an actual adventure in another realm, and it be action-packed, you got science fiction in there, you got great character designs, you got your Star Wars tie-ins, and then you have this incredible family story. You got a beautiful love story that culminates at the end. And then you have a real legitimate threat in Kang and a backstory that was like tragic and frightening. This movie had everything. I'm like genuinely had everything.
It truly did. And the fact, I mean, one, the fact that stuck to the name Ant-Man, that freaking Michael Douglas saved the day with Ant once again.
Right.
And that, two, well, they opened the door for something that another idea for a Disney show they should do is all the times Kang says, I beat the Avengers.
Oh, yeah, no.
That's a show. That's a show.
That line gives me chills every time when I hear he's like, you're an Avenger. Have I killed you before? I'm like, oh my God.
I love when he's like, are you the one with the hammer?
With the hammer.
And he's like, well, I mean, the physique, we do get matched. We do get mixed up all the time, me and Thor.
I wasn't a fan of that comedic joke because, like,
at that time,
because he just subtly name dropped that subtly dropped that he killed Thor in a different universe, and I thought it was just seen as a joke. I don't like that,
but
because of just Ant-Man saying that we have like similar body types. I didn't like that.
Any true comic book fan, which are in my opinion the only fans that matter in these movies, they know that's not a joke. They know that Kang has decimated Avengers on countless worlds. I mean, but you got to remember, I mean, see, they need to bring the freaking Illuminati,
and then he gets beaten by ants, though. Like,
well, he technically didn't.
he didn't get beaten. He got distracted long enough for them to get away out of there.
Yeah, and then he got trapped. And that's it.
But that final scene where he's trying to get to the portal and it's him and Scott fighting, like that's a good ending fight scene for a movie. Like that.
The only thing I'm mad about that is they gave that away in the trailer. That was the only thing I was mad at. Like I was like, wow.
I didn't watch one trailer.
Okay, smart. Because I'm like, that scene was intense. And
we don't need to win. I don't need to win. We both just need to lose.
We both just need to lose. I'm like, why would you give that line and that scene away? I mean, yes, you could show that Kang is not to be messed with. I get it. But like, I feel like you could have had every other scene, like, you know, him being angry and shooting the lasers, him, you know, stomping on Scott's head. You could have had all of that and just left out that scene and that line, because it would have been so much more impactful seeing that in the theater.
Man, when Kang broke his helmet, that scene was great. When he just straight up stomps on his face.
Yeah, that was intense. But there's something they missed that Kang always has in the comics, and it's something they should have done. And it brings point to your point, Brandon. If they really wanted to show how horrible how horrible a being Kang is, in the comics, he always has a trophy room full of Captain America shield.
We'll see his trophy room.
Thor Mjolnir, multiple Mjolnirs laying around shattered. Like he always has a trophy room.
I mean, keep in mind they based in Loki, they had a trophy room that was just all Infinity Stones and drawers and stuff. Like,
well, that's different. I mean,
I'm saying in terms of like, he's just gathered those from other universes.
I mean, but Kang always has like that trophy room that makes you shudder when you see it, even in comics. Because we'll see it in Kang Dynasty most likely.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if they go, I don't know how they're going to do that. If they go to like the world of Kangs, where like it's all them, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they do that. I mean, because that's the problem with King the Conqueror. You could beat him 1,000 times. He'll come back from a different time and come back again. Like it's the worst kind of villain to have because you can't actually kill him.
Which I'm so excited for. Oh my god! Like when I saw that end credit scene, like with the multiple Kangs,
and they were just summoning them all. I'm like, oh my god!
Oh my god! I felt like, listen, I love Jonathan Majors. Like when the first movie I saw him in was Last Black Man in San Francisco, and even in that movie, I was like, this guy's good. Like this guy's like, he's got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when you just see that and you're like, oh, that guy's got it. Like, I just instantly. And then he went on to play in The Five Bloods, which is one of my favorite movies. He got, you know, he's in Creed 3, which I can't wait to see. He looks amazing in that. But in here, I'm like, dude, he has to play multiple roles, different versions of himself. and it's so interesting. And then like the costuming and the makeup for each different one, like what? Like it's so cool. And he's bringing the fact that he's bringing different energy to each one, I thought was like insane. Like just the three that they have talking about, you know, the exiled one being dead. Like you got one who's like part cyborg and he's like stiff and, you know, stuttery and everything. And then you got the Egyptian one who's very regal. Then you got this alien kind of one who talks like a lizard and stuff. I'm like, that's already insane. And then we go inside this arena where all of them are coming from, and you got other ones who are stoic, who are mad, who are
insane,
loose cannons,
jumping up and down.
Literally the one at the end that they showed was the true Kang with the blue face, like pounding his chest, like let's go. Like, oh, I mean,
I'm like,
but
dude, like Jonathan Majors, man, like that is the one thing I will say. No one has said a bad thing about Jonathan Majors for this entire. No review has said, "Oh, Majors blew it." Like, even if they did, like you're a liar. You're a damn liar.
Yeah,
like,
I see, like not for the MCU by any means, but I see Jonathan Majors ending up with an Oscar over the next 5 years.
It could be the MCU.
Count it.
I can see Kang winning an Oscar.
All right, so final ratings. What are we giving Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania? Jeremy.
I forget. We just have 5 or 10.
5.
I
honestly would give it a 4.8.
Wow.
Just the fact that Kevin Feige said it's time to make Marvel a little Star Warsy.
Yeah. All right. Brandon, where are you going?
Man, like I feel like there's so much we didn't talk about in this movie. But yeah, I mean the world building of the quantum realm was great. I think overall still just my main issue was just I don't like how they handled MODOK and like a couple of the forced humor lines here and there. But I mean overall it was a solid film, so I'm thinking I'm gonna have to go with a solid 3.5.
Wow, that's actually lower than I thought you'd go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was good. Just it was nothing great. It was nothing bad. It was good. So yeah, solid 3.5.
I didn't talk about this, but one of the things that I definitely had a big complaint about, or the only thing that I could see pretty much all the reviews talk about that they complained about was the visuals. Like it was just too much visual effects. And I can kind of agree with that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a lot coming at you and it can be a little visually noisy. So I can see why that might turn some people off. But like I said, that was the biggest complaint. And I'm like, yeah, but the story, the character development, the themes, the badassery of Jonathan Majors as Kang, none of that is destroyed or taken away by the visual effects. Like, and I actually think, strangely enough, this movie had better visual effects than anything in Phase 4. Like I said, outside of maybe Eternals, like this had better visual effects than I think the bulk of that phase. So I see what people are talking about, but that's not even a complaint that I share. So I am actually, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm gonna go with a 4.5. I really dug this movie, like, and especially after so many underwhelming and quite frankly disappointing Marvel movies, it feels so good to get a film that is actually really fun, really entertaining, really cool, with a badass villain, and I'm actually excited for what's to come. That to me is something that the MCU hasn't done in a long time. So I'm very, very thrilled with this. So 4.5 for me, 4.8 for Jeremy, love it, and a 3.5 from Brandon. What did you guys think of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania? Let us know on Twitter or Instagram at FilmCodePod, and we are going to move on now to What's Good. What's good? What's good? What's good? gentlemen, what have you seen? What would you recommend? Brandon, what do you got?
Oh my God. Okay, I can't go without talking about this. It's another What's Bad for Me. I think it is the worst film I've ever seen. I went and saw Blue Blood and Honey.
You saw
oh my God. I knew it was gonna be bad, but I expected some part of it to be good. No, it was one of the worst films I have ever seen in my life. There was no horror to it. There was no the kills were brutal, but there was nothing made sense. Just take the laws of physics and toss them out the window. Oh my God. One of the worst movies I've ever seen.
All right, Jeremy, what do you got?
I mean, I honestly haven't been watching that much lately, but I mean, I did. What did I watch? Oh, Animal Control. Awesome new show. I cannot wait to see where this show goes.
What's it called?
Animal Control. It's a Fox sitcom with Joel McHale as the lead role.
Oh, I've seen the commercials for that.
I watched the first episode last night and it was amazing. I mean, it's Joel McHale. Anything he touches, I love. But he is amazing and I love it. It's hilarious. But movie-wise, I haven't seen much lately, honestly. I mean, Ant-Man, I think Ant-Man's first time I went to theater to see anything since Black Widow, maybe? Or no? That's
really?
Wrong. No. What? Oh, since the Batman.
Okay. All right.
Which is still the best Batman movie ever, just saying.
I don't know if I mentioned this before, but no, I didn't. I finally got around to seeing Boogie Nights. Paul Thomas Anderson's film starring Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'd never seen it. Love this movie. I think it's hilarious, Brandon. I don't know if you've seen Boogie Nights, but the funny thing to me is I'm like, Boogie Nights is literally like Babylon, but in 1990s. And I'm like, you know how people say this walked so you could run? I'm like, no, Boogie Nights ran so Babylon could tiptoe. Like that's how intense and crazy and out of this world and graphic Boogie Nights is. I freaking love that movie. I highly recommend it. It's top of my list of Paul Thomas Anderson films for now till I see the rest of his filmography. But yeah, so highly recommend it. Boogie Nights from me, Animal Control from Jeremy, and try to avoid poo, blood and honey if you can. And that is what's good from us here at Film Code. All right, it is officially that time. You are now entering Film Code. Start program.
Run, Forrest, run!
It's time for the code word this week. It was my code word. And my code word was volcano. And it's a movie between 2015 and 2020. Supporting actor did 6 films between 2021 and 2022. Your director is known for comedy, and your lead actress is in the MCU. So, Jeremy, you are our guest, which means you have the great honor of going first. What is your guess for the code word?
See, this one was hard. I literally sat there going through a list of every actress in the MCU and trying to figure out what the hell movie you were talking about. The only thing I could come close to it that I could think kind of lined up was Kong Skull Island.
Okay. Why? Who's in Kong Skull Island?
Brie Larson.
She is. Okay.
And I mean, and Tom Hiddleston too, even though that's not a clue, but still Tom Hiddleston. And there's a lot of actors in that movie though, and I could see at least one of them doing 6 movies between 21 and 22. So, I mean, you've 20 different army guys that get killed in the first half hour of that movie. So, it's highly possible one of them was in 6 movies between 2021 and 2022. So, and And I mean, Volcano. I couldn't find any movie that had a volcano in it in that time frame. So I had no idea what the hell you were going. Like I'm googling like volcano in movies, and nothing's coming up like for those years. So,
oh, this is gonna be so fun. All right, Brandon, can you take the lead with this one? I hope so. What is your guess for the code word?
I'm pretty sure I'm wrong here. I willing to bet you I'm wrong here. But I think I'm going to have to go with Moana.
Moana. I see that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm wrong just based off that question.
What actress in that is a Marvel star?
Oh my God, a few of them.
Oh yeah, it's a voice movie. So I already know who does the voices in that movie besides The Rock.
Yeah, no, they have a few. I'm trying to remember who exactly it is. But one of the people in this film is from the MCU. I'm just trying to remember who. So bear me 1 second. Rachel House. Rachel House is in Thor Ragnarok.
She is.
And Tamora Morrison, he's done a lot of work over the past between 21 and 22. Dwayne Johnson has done a lot between 21 and 22.
Yeah.
So Alan Tudyk has as well. So I'm willing to bet Alan Tudyk has a lot of voice work. So I personally have a feeling it's going to be Moana.
Wow. That was a really good guess.
I wasn't even thinking of animated movies. Shit.
That was a really good guess. And I really genuinely thought this was easy. Like I felt like I gave you guys every clue possible.
I'm pretty sure we're going to be like, shit.
Who was it?
So the movie actually takes place in the year 2020. Your lead actress who is in the MCU is Rachel McAdams, who is in the Doctor Strange movies.
Yeah.
Your director, who's done mostly comedies, he did Wedding Crashers, Change Up, Shanghai Nights, Fred Claus, is David Dobkin. And the movie that he did in 2020 is a little Netflix musical that I love, Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga.
Oh God. I never would have thought that.
Which has the song Volcano Man. So that's where Volcano comes from.
I've been wanting to watch that movie for a long time too. If I actually watched it, I would have freaking known that.
Oh yeah. So there you have it. Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga. I really thought I gave this one to you guys. Oh, I really thought I gave it one to you. Man, so
I love Eurovision too, because guess who performs in it every year?
Nightwing.
They never won. They never won.
But they're good.
One of my other favorite bands, Lordy, has won, but
Eurovision Song Contest, guys. I highly recommend this movie. It is horrible, but it is the only Will Ferrell movie that I genuinely love. So I can't recommend it enough. It has the Oscar-winning song "Husavik" that was nominated in 2021 in it. Maybe I should have gave that clue. That probably would have helped. I don't know. But
I was thinking too literal.
See, because I would have gone with Moana again, because that was nominated for a Best Original Song.
It was, yeah.
Damn you!
Like I said, that was a really good guess. That was a really good guess. I almost gave it to you just out of sympathy, but but there you have it. Check out Eurovision Song Contest. I highly recommend it. And we are gonna get up out of here, guys. So, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us again, man. Can't thank you enough. We appreciate everything you bring. Let everybody know where they can find you, sir.
They can find me on Paranormal the Normal, Maniacal Music Musings, both which are now on Antisocial Network. And you could also find me on Global Strangeness every Sunday night, drinking and talking about weird paranormal stuff for my two co-hosts. But you can find me, of all places, on Facebook under Paranormal the Normal / Maniacal Music Musings Podcast with an S Facebook group. On Twitter and the Gram as @JuggaloBastard. On TikTok as @JuggaloBastard Podcast. And, of course, on YouTube as either just Paranormal the Normal or Maniacal Music Musings. Come see Phoenix laugh his ass off on our show, Maniacal Music.
Absolutely. And Brandon, let everybody know where they can find you, sir.
You guys can find me at FANTASMIC ears over on Letterboxd. Go check out when I'm watching. And yeah, thank you guys again for listening.
All right, guys, you can find me on Twitter and it's just Twitter at I'm HO Reviews 1. That's the number 1, and on Letterboxd under PA Clouded. And as always, guys, please follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Film Code Pod. And we will see you guys next week. We are out of here. Peace. And And it is officially that time that we announce the nominees for our Film Code Film Awards podcast episode. All of us here at Film Code, including our guests, had a chance to weigh in and vote for their favorite films in every category that we have here. We're really excited to share our nominees with you guys, and we'll hopefully try to get this one out as soon as possible. But 2022, pretty solid year for movies. We had some great stuff come out, and we're happy that we get a chance to honor some of our favorites. So, Brandon, why don't you kick us off? What is our first category and our nominees?
Yeah, man. So the first official nominee list or category is Best Action Film. Your nominees are Everything Everywhere All at Once, RRR, The Batman, Top Gun Maverick, and The Woman King.
Excellent. Now, our next category is Best Comedy or Musical. Our nominees are The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, and RRR.
Nominees for Best Horror / Sci-Fi: Barbarian, The Black Phone, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Pearl, and Smile.
Excellent. Your next category is Best Documentary. We had 4 nominees for this category, and they are All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, EO, Fire of Love, and Moon Age Daydream.
The nominees for Best Animated... Oh my god. The nominees for Best Animated Feature: The Bad Guys, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Is that technically an animated film?
Yeah, actually it is.
Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Our nominees for Best Original Score are Babylon, The Banshees of Inisherin, The Batman, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, and RRR. Nice.
Pretty good. Your nominees for Best Editing: it's Babylon, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Glass Onion, Knives Out Mystery, RRR, and Top Gun Maverick.
All right. Your nominees for Best Cinematography are All Quiet on the Western Front, Babylon, The Batman, and Top Gun Maverick.
The nominees for Best Lead Actor: Austin Butler for Elvis, Tom Cruise for Top Gun Maverick, Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin, and Brendan Fraser for The Whale.
Nice. Your nominees for Best Lead Actress are Cate Blanchett for Tar, Viola Davis for The Woman King, Mia Goth for Pearl, Margot Robbie, Babylon, and Michelle Yeoh, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
The nominees for Best Supporting Actor: Paul Dano, The Fabelmans, Barry Keoghan, The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Gleeson, The Banshees of Inisherin, Brad Pitt for Babylon, Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Mark Rylance for Bones and All.
Your nominees for Best Supporting Actress are Angela Bassett, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever; Carrie Condon, The Banshees of Inisherin; Dolly De Leon, Triangle of Sadness; Stephanie Hsu, Everything Everywhere All at Once; Lashana Lynch, The Woman King; and Keke Palmer for Nope.
The nominees for Best Adapted Screenplay: Bones and All, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking.
Okay. Best Original Screenplay. Your nominees are Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Good Luck to You, Leo Grand, Tar, and The Woman King.
Nominees for Best Original Song: Natu for RRR, Lift Me Up, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, You Made It Feel Like Home, Bones and All, Hold My Hand for Top Gun Maverick, This Is a Life, Everything Everywhere All at Once. How in the world was Good Afternoon not even on the original nomination list? What the hell, Phoenix?
Didn't get a lot of votes.
I had to write that in. I had to write that one in.
And I put it in there. I still haven't seen Spirited, so I'm sorry. Your nominees for Best Director are The Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans, S.S. Rajamouli for RRR, and Todd Field for Tar.
Damien Chazelle is named on this list?
Yeah, I don't think he got enough, which is crazy because Babylon got like way more nominations than I thought it would. All right, but we have arrived at Best Picture. Brandon, lead us through this list.
Nominees for Best Picture are Babylon.
Yeah.
Babylon?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. The nominees for Best Picture are Babylon, The Banshees of Inisherin, The Batman, Bones and All, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, RRR, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, and The Woman King.
All right, and there you have it, guys. That is our lineup for our third annual Film Code Film Awards. I believe, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Everything Everywhere leads with 12 nominations for us here at Film Code. That's an amazing haul. Yeah. So Everything Everywhere leads our nominees with 12 nominations, followed closely behind by Babylon and Top Gun Maverick, each with 7 nominations. So thank you guys for listening. We will get to our Film Code Film Awards hopefully this month, and we can't wait to share it with you guys. We want to try to get it out before the Oscars so that we can say, we beat the Oscars. But thank you all for listening, and peace.